Hey there, everyone. Welcome to Speak Now Pro Wrestling. It's your girl, Denise Salcedo, and it is Saturday, December 9th, and we are here to chat about NXT Deadline. And it was the last and final premium live event for WWE this year. So the next pay-per-view that we're going to be here talking about is not going to be until the Royal Rumble, which is kind of crazy to even think that, by the way. I know we got a couple of some special edition NXTs like New Year's Evil and stuff like that coming up, but for the most part, this was the last PLE of 2023, and it was a pretty fun one, I would say. There were some things that I really loved on today's show, some other things that I kind of was a little bit split on, and I think most of you guys, just based on what I saw on the chat already, I think I'm kind of feeling similar to a lot of you guys in the chat, so we will get into that in just a second. But before we get started, before we get into everything that went down, I do want to go ahead and let you guys know that if you do send in a super chat, that is the best way to help promote this show, to help support this show, and really just get your questions, your comments, your statements read here on the stream. It helps me out a whole lot, to be honest. So let's get to it. I'm going to kick things off with our first super chats of the day. And this one here is from Cameron Mumford, who says, "What a way to end the year for NXT. A very good show. And now the icing on the cake. Time for the hardest working woman in podcasting to deliver another fun show. Let's do this." I'll tell you guys, today has been like an extraordinarily busy freaking day. I've been nonstop since like 5 in the freaking morning today. So it's been a long day for me, but I'm excited to talk about Deadline. Like I said, there was a lot of good things. I'm going to go in chronological format for this show because there was just so much that went down, and we're going to want to make sure to cover everything. That's for sure. Ebony Prince says, "I'm so happy for Trick Williams. He will win the title." This was a big night for Trick Williams. I think that when Trick Williams won the men's Iron Survivor Challenge, it was really the high point of the night. I don't think there was any other point besides CM Punk's appearance that I would consider the high point of the show. And just focusing solely on NXT talent, Trick Williams getting the win was definitely the peak of the show. Of course, aside from the Punk stuff. Heel Hammer says, "Welcome to the Coleslaw era." Thank you so much, Heel Hammer. And I also want to take a second and shout out Sheldon Jackson for sending 10 DWO memberships. As always, thank you so much to Sheldon for the love, for not just for myself, but for everybody here on the channel. So let's go. I'm going to kick things off with CM Punk. So last night on Smackdown, if you guys haven't checked out that post show, make sure to check it out, because I think that one, God, I think we maybe spent around 30 to 40 minutes or so talking about CM Punk, the promo that he cut last night on SmackDown, and the implications of that, and where it's going to lead to, and what we're going to be seeing once we get down to WrestleMania season. So now we have this follow-up promo that we got here. It wasn't like the same from what we saw in SmackDown, but in that SmackDown promo, he did mention that he had a phone call scheduled with Shawn Michaels. The second he said that, we all knew that he was going to be appearing on NXT. And I literally said this last night. I'm like, guys, I'm pretty sure we're going to get CM Punk on NXT Deadline. Like, I wasn't too sure, but that made the most sense, because I'm thinking, okay, if you're going to have CM Punk make an appearance on NXT, do you do it on the Tuesday show, or do you do it right now when you have the last pay-per-view of the year and it's closing off with NXT? It made sense to have CM Punk come out and do his little appearance, have his moment on the NXT brand. And so we got a really hilarious interaction between him and Shawn Michaels. And man, guys, I gotta tell you, so I wasn't home at the start of Deadline. I was running late because I had some other things that I was doing, and I was driving, and I could hear, because I put on the Peacock, and I could hear the Peacock on my phone. I was literally like 5 minutes away, but something told me, don't wait, like make sure you have it playing, because something's gonna happen. And so I put it on. Shawn Michaels comes out, and I'm thinking, Shawn Michaels is probably going to make a really big announcement right now. So I'm driving and I'm listening to what Shawn Michaels is going to say. And then out of nowhere, CM Punk's music hits and I go, there it is. There it freaking is. So I got home, I rushed to my computer and I finished watching the entire segment here at home. So I was a little behind with Deadline for like the first couple of minutes. But anyways, so CM Punk comes out there in a Bret Hart hoodie, guys, in a Bret Hart hoodie. And obviously CM Punk is a Bret Hart guy. He's always been. He's talked about this numerous times. He's looked up to Bret Hart for forever, right? And there's this really funny interaction where Shawn Michaels tells him that his hoodie is nice. And CM Punk's like, oh man, sorry, I forgot to bring my HBK merch. And Shawn Michaels is like, that hurts. And CM Punk says, nah, you guys made up. Like I made up with Triple H. This is all about healing. And they hug it out. They exchange some words, which are unbeknownst to us. We don't know what was said between CM Punk and Shawn Michaels. That's between them. And hopefully we'll find out at some point what was said. But he basically just teases like, oh, am I going to sign with Raw? Am I going to sign with SmackDown? Am I going to sign with the NXT? We all know he's not signing with NXT, guys, but he did them a solid. He appeared on the PLE. It was pretty damn cool, and we had our little moment. And I thought this was awesome because it's like, come on now. How many of us thought that we were going to see CM Punk and Shawn Michaels in the ring together in 2023? I don't think many of us thought that that was even going to be a possibility. So just coming off of how well things went last night with CM Punk on his SmackDown promo and all of the interactions that he had and everything that he did on last night's show, I kind of felt like this start to NXT was pretty damn cool. It was just hey man, he's here. Let's all have a nice little moment. And that was kind of about it. So I thought it was funny. I thought it was cool. So that was the CM Punk bit for today. We got Will Chisholm here who sends in a super chat saying, so I'm guessing Melissa turning on Trick at the title match. Did autocorrect change your thing to Carmelo? I think your autocorrect changed your thing to Melissa. I was like, who the dang hell is Melissa? What pay-per-view did you watch, my friend? Thank you so much, Will Chisholm, for the super chat, man. Tim Weinerger Jr. says the crowd erupted big time for Trick. So glad I went to the show with my kids. I saw your tweets, by the way. Thank you so much for letting me know what the crowd reaction was like. It definitely came through on television, that's for sure. I said earlier that was the peak moment of the show for the NXT talent specifically. And Trick Williams, I think that today was a clear indicator that 2024 is going to be a good year for Trick Williams, man. And if you haven't checked out that interview that I did with him, check it out because you will see just in a simple interview, just in a simple little 15-minute interview, this man gave great answers, had personality, had energy throughout the entire interview. And that kind of says a lot, you know? You can tell a lot about a person given how they do media interviews, how they do press conferences and things like that, because part of the it factor, part of the wow factor is capturing audiences, and you capture audiences not just obviously with what you're doing on TV, but when you're doing backstage segments, when you're doing digital exclusive, when you're doing media, because the better you get at that and the better you are at that, then all of a sudden you're going to the big shows, man. You're going to your freaking Tonight shows with all your Jimmys, Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Kimmel. Sure, there's more Jimmys that I'm forgetting right now. But anyway, so shout out to Trick Williams on that, and we'll talk more about him in just a second. We got Dawn, aka Smiley Girl, who's a DWO member, says, hi, Denise. The show is incredible. Great start to finish. All right, so let's continue on with what happened. By the way, thank you to everybody who's complimenting my hair today. I was hoping people would notice, by the way. My friend did this. I cannot do this. I do not have this talent. And my friend did my makeup. I also cannot do this. And you guys will find out later on why I'm all glammed up. Not today, some other day. Anyways, so I'm not just glammed up for the show, guys, because let's be real. You already seen what I look like in normal hair and makeup. But anyways, let's kick things off with the opening match of the night. And that was the NXT North American Championship match in which Dominik Mysterio defended his title against Dragon Lee. So we had Rey Mysterio on commentary here for this. And I will say, like, this one, it's funny because I feel like depending on how you look at this match is going to depend on what you think of it. So part of me, when I'm watching, obviously I'm very analytical and I see when mistakes are made. I'm seeing when little errors are made. I'm seeing when things could have been done a different way, right? That just comes with like years and years of watching pro wrestling. You just pick up on that stuff, right? So there was some stuff that maybe was not like A plus, maybe not a 10 out of 10. But with that being said, even though things weren't A plus or 10 out of 10, this was possibly one of Dominik Mysterio's strongest matches. I really loved the stuff that he did. When was it? That match that he had with Ilja Dragunov not too long ago on NXT. I thought that was great. But this one was a lot of fun too. I thought that him and Dragon Lee really kicked things off at a good pace. Like they were moving at a good speed. And I thought that Dom, like aside from some minor like moments where things didn't look so great, I thought for the most part, he did look good in this match. And when Dragon Lee won, I was excited. I was happy. But going into this match, I really wasn't sure what was going to go down because originally, when this was supposed to be Wesley versus Dominik Mysterio, I was definitely expecting Wesley to win the NXT North American Championship because I had said this on the NXT post show that it kind of felt like the time was up for Dominik. It kind of felt like we had gotten everything there was to get out of Dominik Mysterio as NXT North American Champion. And so for that reason, I was pretty much expecting for Wesley to come out on top. So when unfortunately Wesley announced that he's going to be out and he's going to be getting back surgery and he's going to be gone for a good amount of time, when they announced that he was being replaced with Dragon Lee, I wasn't so sure if he was going to win. And I thought, okay, given that I was expecting for the title to be up, Dragon Lee might still win. However, I didn't like how many losses we had been seeing from Dragon Lee, especially one just last night in the tournament with Santos Escobar. And I was like, damn, I don't want to see Dragon Lee lose the night before he is in this championship match at NXT Deadline for the North American Championship, right? And so I had kind of started to think that maybe it wasn't going to happen coming off of that loss, but they still went that direction. And I think that I think it's pretty crystal clear that Wesley was probably supposed to win this title. So it seems that their plans for Dominik Mysterio over on NXT are pretty much coming to an end just based on what we're seeing. But the title with Dragon Lee, he was called up to the main roster in October. And so he's been there. He's been pretty much killing it on SmackDown. Aside from a couple of losses, he's been having some good matches. He recently got involved in this feud with the LWO and Santos Escobar. He's had now 2 matches with Santos Escobar. And so things were kind of starting to get a little cooking for him. So I wonder what this is going to look like now. Seeing him on both rosters, because clearly he's still a SmackDown performer, but now he's an NXT champion. So I'm wondering if this is going to be a quick transition, if we're going to see somebody else dethrone Dragon Lee, or if we're going to get a good little run here. I have a feeling he might be a transitional champion just based off of the fact that he is a SmackDown superstar. And clearly, once you get called up, like you want to be doing what you're doing over on the main roster, right? So we'll see. But either way, I'm happy for Dragon Lee. Love the moment that he had with Rey Mysterio and Rey essentially telling him he was doing it for the people. He was doing it for La Raza. So it was really freaking cool to see all of that. All right, we got some super chats. Let's see what you, the people, have to say. Sheldon Jackson sends in a super chat saying, what I liked about the Iron Survivor match strategies was that they had more experienced wrestlers start or be out there most of the match, and the newer ones be out there the least amount of time. So we're going to get into both the Iron Survivor challenges. I'm going to get into the women's one first, of course, but I will say this right now off the bat, that what I appreciated from both of these Iron Survivor matches was that they told different stories for these. They made them, when you have both a men's and a women's match, on the show with any given theme, right? When we have the War Games matches, when we have the Rumble matches, and in this specific case, the Iron Survivor matches, you have to make it different. Like, it has to be different because you don't want to go out there and see a lot of the same things, right? You don't want to see the same stories, none of that. And I thought that they did a really good job at making sure that both matches were equally distinguishable and were exciting in different ways. Like, the women's match I thought was exciting because of some of the spots that they did, but the men's match I thought was exciting because of the finish of the match. And we'll obviously get to that a lot more, but I think that they were both exciting, but just in different types of ways. Tim Weinerger Jr. sends in a super chat saying second best match of the night was Axiom versus Frazier. That's the only match I didn't get to see, guys. Don't sue me, don't hate me, but that was the only one. I told you guys I was driving home trying to make it on time to watch NXT Deadline. David Kaplan sends in a super chat saying, hello, Denise. You look like you're giving Toni Storm a run for her money. You look like a vintage Hollywood star. Bring on the black and white. If I knew how to do that here on StreamYard, I would, but I don't think that's an option, so I can't. But yeah, that was kind of the vibe that I was going for, was a little bit of the Hollywood-esque type of vibe. And you know what Toni Storm says, guys. Tits up and watch for the shoe. Anyways, David Kaplan, thank you so much for the super chat. We got one here from Crew Kid 52 who says, I was at the show. The place came unglued, and each successive pinfall, the cheering got at least 2 orders of magnitude louder. Also, Dom is a fave. Wow. Okay, the Dom part. Good stuff. Thank you for mentioning that. But dude, so it was funny because when the men's came about and I was watching Trick Williams do his thing in the last couple minutes, usually as I'm watching these shows, I'm writing down like the big moments in this match because obviously I need to come out here and talk about them. And when I was watching the finish for the men's Iron Survivor, I completely forgot that I was working. It was just the thing of like, come on. I went back into like fan mode where like I wasn't just sitting there watching and, you know, typing shit down. No, I was genuinely taken out of that portion of me, and I was watching and experiencing as a fan because it got me that excited. It got me that riled up. So yeah, I can definitely understand how the crowd felt exactly the same way. And Crew Kid says that he's talking about Trick Williams. Oh yeah, for sure. I know exactly what you meant when you were talking about here in regards to Trick Williams. So thank you so much for also sending that in. All right, so let's get to the Women's Iron Survivor Challenge here because this one was definitely interesting. So we had Blair Davenport who won this match, and I had said Blair Davenport was going to win this match. I saw a couple of people on Twitter that were either a little surprised or didn't want Blair to win. I feel like if you've been watching NXT on a weekly basis, I think for the most part, I think people knew who was probably going to win. And it just made the best sense out of like everybody else that we were getting here. But there was a lot that I really enjoyed in this. However, before I get to what I enjoyed, I have the same criticism for both the men's and the women's Iron Survivor. And the only criticism that I have for both of them, that they both did the exact same thing, was the first 5 minutes of each of these matches. I thought that the first 5 minutes for the women's and for the men's took too long to like get going. I thought the start for both of these matches were kind of slow. And so that was really my only big criticism, is that I wish that they would have both started off a lot hotter. And I noticed it right away, of course, with the women's match, because we kicked it off with Fallon Henley and Blair Davenport. And the reason why I wanted them to really get this going and get this going hot is because we have a 25-minute clock. We know that time here is precious. And in order to win the match, you have to score the most amount of possible points. And the only way to do that is by getting your pinfalls or your submissions, right? And in order to do that, well, you got to beat your opponent. You got to make sure that you can get them pinned. And so I kind of felt like the start was a little bit too slow. And I'm like, in any other match, sure, whatever. But in this type of match, when you're up against the clock, you got to go right in, especially if you're the first two people. You have this advantage of like getting some points in before you get some more bodies in on the action. So I did want both the men's and the women's to kind of start off just a little bit harder, again, because of that time crunch. But aside from that, so the women's match, I will say that to me, I thought this match slowly started to pick up once Tiffany Stratton came in, but it really started to pick up, when Kelani Jordan came in, and then shit went off the rails once Lash Legend came in, and Lash Legend was the final one to come into this match. So first and foremost, so some of the great moments that we saw here. I'll start off with Kelani Jordan, because Kelani is the one that she's only had like 6 months of experience, guys. Like, this girl is a very fast learner. Her gymnastics background is definitely helping her out. She went in there and she had some great moments. There was one where she did like this double drop kick that I thought looked really good. There was one tiny scary moment, but this girl bounced back like it was nothing. I think I would have died. It was this moment where she hits this moonsault, and I think I don't even know. I don't know if she like overshot it or if Lash Legend wasn't in the right spot. I'm not exactly sure. Maybe it was the spacing. Who the hell knows? But she did this moonsault, and Lash Legend wasn't able to like capture her, because she kind of went over her head. She kind of passed her, right? And girl lands her side, like right in the rib cage area. She lands on the commentary table, and I'm like, oh my God. In the first watch of that, you're thinking, oh my God, Kelani Jordan, she's down and out. This is it, right? Like, this is not good. And this girl got up so freaking fast. I rewinded that spot 3 times because I wanted to see exactly, how she landed and stuff like that, because the first time it just looked kind of brutal for sure. That was something that definitely stood out to me. But other than that, like, she went in there and she made sure that people knew her name, because she got some really great reactions with some of the spots that she went ahead and did. So the other person that I want to talk about is Lash Legend. Lash Legend kind of went from the person that I really wasn't even expecting her to be in this match. When she won her qualifier, I was shocked. I was shocked that she won her qualifier, because we hadn't really seen much from Lash Legend. And now it's like if a switch has been turned, because all of a sudden this Tuesday, we had this big moment where she body slams Otis. And that was like freakishly cool, man. And so all of a sudden you're looking at her and you're going, damn, I didn't know she had this in her. And then afterwards, Lash Legend goes into this match and she is presented in a way where she is a force to be reckoned with. They positioned her in this match to make you look at her and say, wow, she's freaking strong. She's freaking powerful. All of a sudden, I'm sitting here thinking, what is Lash Legend going to look like in 6 months, in a year? Because just based off of what we've got from this Tuesday and today, it's definitely been levels up. The volume has definitely been turned up on Lash Legend. And so I do want to give her kudos on this one, because I thought she came out and she showed out for sure. I was surprised by how long it took for them to give Tiffany Stratton an actual pin here, because she only got 1 pin. And for the most part, she had been in this match focusing rather a lot on Fallon Henley. So I want to talk about that portion of it all. We saw Tiffany and Fallon go at it a lot in this match. They were always sort of on each other. At any point of this match, they had their hands on each other. And there was a moment where both of these women were inside the penalty box. And then when it was their time to get out, Metaphor came out and blocked the entrance so that they wouldn't be able to come out. So they did this spot at the top of the penalty box, and it wasn't clear. Like, I wish that how do I say this? I wish that either the camera wouldn't have caught certain parts, because you could see a lot of like preparation and talking through some of these things. But again, I'm like, okay, it's developmental, let it slide, whatever, right? But I wish that we wouldn't have seen some of those things, because it did kind of take away a little bit from like the viewer side of things. But I'm like, whatever. Some of these spots were really great, really cool to see. And so there was a moment where Tiffany Stratton shoves Fallon Henley. She shoves her off of the penalty box. She goes right into the commentary table. And then Tiffany Stratton does a pretty damn cool spot. She does a freaking like senton off of the freaking top of the swanton off of the top of the freaking penalty box, and it looked freaking sick. Now keep in mind that Tiffany Stratton, she also has a gymnastics background, and so seeing her kind of execute that was pretty freaking cool, and it was one of the top moments of this actual matchup here. So I thought that was freaking phenomenal. And I will say that the last like 7 minutes of this match just like really picked up. Like, there was a lot of really good stuff that we saw here. Of course, we saw Tiffany hit her prettiest moonsault ever. That was great. Kelani had the moment where she hit her 450. That was freaking awesome too. They did a really good job with this match and just making some really cool moments for each of the girls to kind of shine in their own way. So Blair Davenport, she gets the win. Oh boy. So she's going to get a shot against Lyra Valkyria. And she already announced it. This is going to be happening at New Year's Day, January 2nd. This is when this match is going to be happening. And she announces it. Lyra Valkyria comes out, and they have a little bit of a stare down. It doesn't last long, though, because Cora Jade makes her return to NXT. We have not seen Cora Jade in several months. She's been out. The last time we actually saw her wrestle on NXT was towards the end of July. So it's been quite some time since we've seen Cora Jade on the roster. But she came back, and she's ready to come for the NXT Women's Championship because she attacked Lyra, got her belt, lifted it up, had her moment with the championship belt, and so it looks like she's coming for gold, and so it might not be an easy path for Blair Davenport. I love this. I'm excited. Cora Jade says she's going to help level up NXT. I'm here for it. People really like Cora Jade, so I think we're going to get some good stuff. I cannot wait for a Cora Jade, Lyra Valkyria program. I think that one's going to be pretty damn freaking cool. So there's some things to get excited about for the women. We've got some super chats. Let's go. Let's see what we got here. This one is from Jay Hudson. Thank you so much to Jay for this generous super chat. He says, Denise, words can't describe how much of an inspiration you are. Oh, thank you. He says, so many women of color see themselves in you. With Deonna Purrazzo being a free agent, where do you think she signs? I think she is NXT. So, actually, I wasn't watching Impact right now, but I did, my husband was actually watching it, but I was watching Deadline. And as I was passing by, he was basically telling me like what had happened on the show, right? Just little pieces here and there for final resolution. And he was basically just telling me like, you know, we already know Deonna is pretty much out the door. That's been already reported. And just based off what we saw here tonight, obviously I'm not going to give any spoilers out, but just based off of what we saw, I think it's pretty clear that Deonna Purrazzo is definitely headed someplace else. I don't know if she's headed to WWE. I don't know if she's headed to AEW, but here's the thing. I always say I want some of these women to go to AEW. And the reason I say that is because I really want to see that women's division improve. And I feel like the only way it's going to improve is if we see like more of like these top women coming in so that they get more time and more, more people to play with, right? But I feel like Deonna she just has what it takes to be in WWE. And obviously with that being like the bigger platform, I feel like if we were to see Deonna in WWE, it'd be pretty freaking great, especially because she is a great wrestler, but she's also a different type of wrestler. And I think she could bring in and showcase just like a lot of the technical things that she can do in the ring. She can have any style of match, of course, but I think she can also shine showing some of the technical work that she does. And so personally, I'm cool with Deonna going in any direction. Whoever does get her is going to she's going to benefit that roster a whole lot. I do think she would probably stand out a lot more in AEW just because I don't feel like there's anybody like Deonna Purrazzo in AEW versus in WWE. She's going to have a lot of options, right? But she's going to have to really, really fight for that top spot because right now, you have so many women killing it in WWE right now, and so many women that are up and coming. I mean, we're literally sitting here talking about these women in the Iron Survivor Challenge and how people like Kelani Jordan are literally growing so fast in the sport. And so it does kind of feel like you have to fight a little bit more for your spot. But then again, you could probably say the same thing for AEW because you got to fight for your spot pretty much anywhere. So I don't know. I don't know where Deonna goes, but I think she's going to kill it wherever she decides to go. And I think that whatever promoter you are, whoever you are, you should be trying to get Deonna Purrazzo on your roster. That's for sure. Jay Hudson, thank you so much for the super chat. Will Chisholm says, I got to say, I knew Blair was going to win. She hasn't lost in 3 months. That's the best Lash has looked with her spots. Agreed on both of these things. It was pretty darn clear that Blair Davenport was probably the person who was most likely to win this match just based off of her performances on NXT. Also, you got Lyra, who's a baby face. You need her to go up against a heel. That's another thing. And I do think that her and Lyra are going to do some good stuff. So Blair was definitely the right person to win this. And yes, I agree. Lash Legend, like I said, she really has, this has been like the best week for her. She's had a good week. Good for her, man. Tiger Claw Gaming, who's been a DWL member, says, do you think Tiffany is main roster bound post WrestleMania? I don't know. I still think there's a lot she can still do and a lot more that she can still grow over on NXT. Cameron Mumford. Cameron, hey. Cameron says Blair and Lyra will be good, but Cora stole this one. She did. And obviously that's going to happen whenever you get a returning superstar of any sort. Whenever you get a return, you're going to get that kind of reaction. And the moment is going to feel like, you know, everybody's head turned the other way, right? When Cora Jade came out. So I get what you're saying on that. Will Chisholm says Lash pinning 2 women at once was great. Yeah, that was pretty cool. It was a nice way to really give her, you know, a little something extra in this match. Like I said, here's the thing about NXT, and this is something that I think they're good at. I think they're good at giving their talent something to, how do I say this? Not just hiding people's flaws, but accentuating their strengths. And I think that's important. So if someone's good at something, they tend to focus in on that, harness that. And so that person ends up looking a lot better because from what we've seen, we haven't seen too much of Lash Legend in the ring aside from what we've only recently seen. And prior to that, it seems like she was still sort of limited. And now all of a sudden, because it seems like they're refocusing her, the way that they present her in the ring, it seems like now they're more focusing in on her power and her strength. And so that is getting her over, and that is them sort of, you know, sharpening her act a little bit. And I think that's definitely been the smart way to kind of go about it. So, yeah, that's one thing that I do think that NXT is good at. Will Chisholm, thank you so much for the super chat. Once again, guys, if you want to get your question, your comment, your statement read here on the stream, support the show. That's the way to go about it. But let's press on, and I want to get into Carmelo Hayes versus Lexis King. So this one I thought was a solid start to the match. I felt like I thought this was a good match. For the most part, I thought this was a good match. I don't know if it was like, could have been a little bit more spicy, but I think it just feels like the beginning versus the end of something. Like this does not feel the end, like the end of this. And so for that reason, I thought this match was fine. Lexis King trying to get Carmelo Hayes to give him to shake his hand, but Carmelo Hayes just like flips him off. I thought that was pretty cool. I liked that. Hayes wins with his leg drop, the nothing but net. Good stuff here, man. And afterwards, Lexis King just basically says that he isn't the one who attacked Trick Williams and that he's thankful for the PLE spot. And that was kind of the end of it. And I had said this literally when we were watching NXT and I was doing the post show. I literally said, guys, Lexis King is just butting in on here. He didn't actually do anything. He's just trying to get some attention. And it worked. And I still think it was Carmelo Hayes. And I still think that, I don't know. I love this. I thought this worked out okay with Lexis King just kind of playing the role of the bad guy. And he's been doing that just fine. It kind of sucks that Lexis King lost in his first PLE match. But this was a good match, though. I really did think it was a perfectly okay match. We got Steven Marchuli here who sends in a super chat saying that Alexis King is a total package. Will be able to generate heat on. Yeah, dude. I mean, I feel like he really, especially even with that promo that he cut afterwards, it was very brief, but like it still made you want to go, damn, I need to punch that guy. Like he's out here just like doing stuff to get under your skin. And so he is a pretty good heel. I've been liking what he's doing so far on NXT. Steven, thank you so much for the super chat as well. All righty, let's go. Let's get into the Iron Survivor Challenge for the men. So this was the one. This was the one that I said was the peak moment aside from the CM Punk appearance. Because they had fun with this one, guys. They had a good amount of fun. Again, thought it started a little slow, but it definitely picked up as we went through. Before we get into kind of the exciting portions of this match, I want to take a second and shout out Tyler Bate. Because Tyler Bate was truly exceptional in this match. And I feel if you tune in to any of my NXT shows, anytime Tyler Bate is in the ring, chances are you're going to hear me brag about how good he is. But I truly think that Tyler Bate is a phenomenal wrestler, and I do enjoy seeing him a whole lot. But with that being said, he was great in this match. I also want to take a second and shout out Dijak and Josh Briggs, because both Dijak and Josh Briggs had some really cool moments with one another. One moment where they even both hit each other with a boot to the face. I thought that was pretty sick, and it looked good, especially because both of these guys are kind of similar height. So when they both hit the boot, it was like perfectly aligned to the other person. So I thought that looked pretty great. So what they did here is they literally had all of these guys pretty much score all of these points. At one point, we got we got Bron Breakker, Tyler Bate, and Dijak, all with like 3 pins. And at this point, Trick Williams had been pinned like maybe 2 or 3 times during this match. And I was looking at this and I was going, damn, I thought Trick Williams was going to win this match. And he's sitting here at 0, and there's like 5 minutes left in this match, and or maybe like 5 or 3 minutes, like very, very little time left. And I'm thinking, wow, are they really going to do Trick Williams this dirty? And then he gets 1 pin. And I'm thinking, either they're going to do this right now. Like once he got that first pin, I thought, you know what? He's going to get a bunch of wins right now. But then I thought, you know what? Maybe they're not going to do that because there's only a little bit of time left and it's going to look silly, maybe a little bit unbelievable, right? Like that's what I was thinking because I wasn't really sure how they were going to go about it. Well, they proved me damn wrong because I don't even know how it happened, guys. So much shit happened. I was so excited. I stopped writing my notes and I was just watching the show, having a great old time. Before we know it, Trick Williams went from 0 falls to not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 freaking falls. And the way that they did it was so fast, so smooth, so exciting, and best of all, believable, because that was kind of what I didn't want to see him just get a bunch of falls and for it to feel kind of cheap, right? They did a really good job of making it feel believable with the flow of the way that everything was moving, the way that all of these guys are moving and everything that was happening in the ring. That's what made the flow come very nicely. So when Trick Williams did end up getting those 3 additional falls, it was like, oh my God, he freaking did it. So instead of like oh yeah, it's super obvious, it was more so of there he's going, he's almost got it. Dang, he's actually got it. And so they did a really great job with that. So shout out to, everybody who decided on how this was going to go, because they really made it seem like at one point Trick Williams was done. I truly thought that I was wrong on my prediction, and I was like, how the hell did I read this so wrong? How the hell is Trick Williams not winning this? How the hell is he sitting at 0? Well, congratulations. They completely fooled me. They swerved me. We got the win for Trick Williams, and it was great. And man, what can I say? This was a really good way to end the match, I thought. And for the most part, like everything else, they had some really good moments. I would say that for the majority, like the body of the match, my pick goes to the women. I thought that the body of the match for the women was a little bit more exciting, but the finish was 1000% the men. The finish is really what stood out to me the most in this Iron Survivor Challenge, and just the way that they told this story, because even when Bron Breakker came in, dude came in and got like 3 falls right away by spearing everybody, and I was like, damn, that's it. Bron Breakker's winning this thing. And so they did a good job at making you think that, hey, Bron Breakker's probably going to sweep this. But once you started to see Dijak and Tyler Bate get some falls in there, I started to think something else is going to happen here. It may not be what we thought it was going to be. And I'm glad that they did that. I'm glad that they told that kind of a story for this match. So, man, thumbs up. Trick Williams. Good job, man. That was good stuff here. But let's get some, we got some super chats in here, so let's read them. This one's from Eric Louise. Thank you so much to Eric, who says, just want to support. Thank you so much, Eric. I appreciate that. You have no idea, so thank you very, very much. A lot of you guys know this channel is completely self-funded by yours truly, so thank you very much. YT, who's a DWO member, says they should put Tyler Bate in the U.S. title tournament. Dude, he'd be freaking sick in the title tournament. I'm still expecting it to be either Axiom or Nathan Frazier. I was even thinking they would have announced it today, but I don't think they did. I was even thinking I might have missed it on the pre-show or something, but I thought it would probably been smart for them just to announce it today, but who knows? Whatever. It's cool either way. Will Chisholm sends in a super chat saying that finish with Trick was crazy. Just the timing alone. It's canon now. If you interview them, they will win. Not technically not, because I interviewed Kelani Jordan and she didn't even get a pinfall in this match. So it was funny because at one point I sat there and I was like, damn, the 2 people that I interviewed are sitting here with 0 falls and the match is about to be over. There's only a couple minutes left. And I was thinking like, man, did I really get both people that scored 0 on this? So thankfully I didn't. But either way, both the interviews with Trick Williams and Kelani were really good. Only 15 minutes because that's all the time they had. But yeah, trying to get a lot in those 15 minutes. And I think we got some good stuff in there. Will Chisholm, thank you so much for the super chat. All right, so we got to keep it going because we still got 2 more matches to talk about, and they happen to be the 2 matches that I've got some controversial opinions about. But before we get to these 2 matches, we have a sponsor that I want to shout out and give some love to. Guys, Miracle Made has seriously changed the way that I sleep each and every single night. They have made my sleep so much better, and this is why. Did you know that traditional bed sheets can harbor more bacteria than a toilet seat? It can lead to acne, allergies, and stuffy noses, and it's just gross. Miracle Made offers a whole line of self-cleaning, eco-friendly bedding such as sheets, pillowcases, and comforters that prevent 99% of bacteria and require 3 times less laundry. Through their silver-infused fabrics inspired by NASA, Miracle Made is designed to keep you at the perfect temperature so you get better sleep every night. Miracle Sheets are the perfect gift for your spouse, friends, or family. Who doesn't want better sleep and luxurious feeling bed sheets? And since these come with 3 free towels, you get 2 gifts in one just in time for the holidays. Go to trymiracle.com/Denise to try it today or gift it to someone special this holiday season. Save over 40% off, and if you use the promo code Denise at checkout, you'll get 3 free towels and save an extra 20% off. Again, that's trymiracle.com/Denise to treat yourself, a friend, or loved one this holiday season. The link is in the description box below. Alrighty, everyone, and we are back. Once again, guys, if you do support the sponsors, please let me know. Tweet me if you guys do, because it goes a long way. They keep sponsoring depending on my performance. If my performance is good, then they will keep sponsoring. And if not, then they'll give me the boot. So let's go. Anyways, all right. Oh, man, guys. So I feel, man, I hate this part of my job whenever I'm not crazy about something, because it sucks, right? I like to come on here and be like, that rocks. Yeah. Ooh, you know? Unfortunately, the last 2 matches, I did not feel that way about. So I'm going to have to bunch these 2 in together. And the first one is the steel cage match with Roxanne Perez and Kiana James. Now, I thought it started off pretty okay. Like, we were getting some good action in there. I like them, you know, obviously using the cage, and that was perfectly fine. Like, it started going good. They went to the top of the cage. They were wailing on each other. We saw Roxanne hit a pop rocks on Kiana James. She unfortunately took too long to get the cover, so she wasn't able to get the 3 count. I loved their Devil's Playground match a lot more. I thought that the Devil's Playground match that they had at Halloween Havoc was like the right stipulation at the right time on the right show, and all of the dots just connected. And the steel cage match, unfortunately, left a lot to be desired. And this was the point of the show where I felt my energy go down while watching. And I was thinking, okay, just, you know, keep going, like things are gonna get really interesting, right? And I was thinking, okay, usually even if there's a match that's maybe not that great, at least we'll get a cool finish, right? Like something cool will happen. I did not like the finish for this match. So we see Kiana James get the door open of the cage, right? She asks the referee opens the door. She leans down, she gets a chair. And I'm thinking, okay, get a chair. We're going to spice things up. Maybe we'll see one of them hit the other girl for like 40 times or something, right? Something crazy. I don't know what I was expecting. But then after this, we continued to see them do a little bit. But when Roxanne gets to the door, she has the chair at this point. Roxanne has the chair at this point, and she's like by the door and she's about to close it. Instead, we get Izzy Dame, who comes out and slams the door on Roxanne Perez's face, and Roxanne ends up getting hit in the face with the chair by Kelani. I'm sorry, by Kiana James, and Kiana James wins this match. So that was a shitty explanation of this finish, because the finish was not good. Okay. It was just not good. The thing that I had an issue with here was that just when I thought this match was going to start going somewhere was when I felt that it got cut off. And the Izzy Dame reveal, I feel bad, because when she came out, I did not recognize her. And I watch the product every week, and I did not recognize her. I honestly, for a split second, was like, who is that? It took me a second. And I was like, what's Maxine doing here? And I was like, that's not Maxine. I'll be honest with you. Like, that was my initial reactions to this. And so I did not think that the reveal of Izzy Dame coming in and costing this match for Roxanne Perez was that great. I just didn't think it was that great. I wish that they would have let the girls cook a little bit more inside that steel cage. I wish they would have really let them get rough with each other. And I personally feel that it just would have been better. We got Caden Crawford here who said the same thing. He's like, I thought it was Tiffany. YT also said he thought it was Tiffany. You see what I mean? Like, so Izzy, for those of you who don't know, myself included, because I had to go and double check. I was like, I'm pretty sure she was in the NXT women's breakout tournament this year. So I had to go and double check. She was. She lost the first round match to Kelani Jordan. So she's done that before, and that's kind of it. Like, she's been doing house shows and things like that. So unfortunately, I feel like in a match like this, if you have somebody come in like that, I feel like it has to be somebody that people are going to be like, oh, snap. For example, if it would have been Cora Jade, if it would have been Cora and she would have done the exact same thing, I still didn't think the finish would have been that great. But if it would have been Cora, at least there would have been a reaction because people know Cora. But with Izzy, it was just a thing of like, oh, okay, thumbs up. So unfortunately, I was not too crazy about this match. I felt like just when it was about to go into a different gear, I thought that that's when they ended up getting right to the finish, and just the finish didn't feel right to this match. It did not feel right. So for that reason, I wasn't too crazy about the steel cage match. And so that was a little unfortunate because I was really looking forward to it. And I've really been loving what they've done with Roxanne Perez and Kiana James. I really have. But this one just wasn't it for me. To be honest. Caden Crawford says, totally, this should have been a last man standing match, and we do a third match, which we should not be doing to the last man standing. Roxanne wins and ends this feud. So Roxanne won the Devil's Playground match, and Kiana James won this steel cage match. If they do another match, yeah, you can obviously tell the story of Roxanne getting her win because she's the babyface in this. And so, man, what can I say? I just thought it was going to play out a little bit differently. So unfortunately, this one just did not go over the way that I thought it was. Shame, because I love both of these competitors and I love the story that they've been telling with them. But yeah, this just wasn't it. Now, we got more people in here, by the way, that thought it was Tiffany Stratton. Okay, so we got a couple of super chats. Let me read the super chats that we got here. This one here is from Jay Hudson, who says, Denise, when my daughter was really sick, I saw her looking up on her laptop saying, Denise inspires me. She's cancer-free now. And man, first of all, I'm happy to hear that your daughter is cancer-free because that's it's terrifying. I don't even want to think about what you and your family had to go through with that, but I'm really happy about that. And hell, man, if I can just pop in for like a second and just be like a cool random person on the internet, that makes me very happy. So Jay Hudson, thank you so much for the super chat. I seriously appreciate that. Thank you very much. Christopher Marino says, where's Tiffany? She's still in the shower from her match. Quick from a blonde, hey, you over there. Who, me? Yes, go do a run-in the cage match. Maybe people will think it's Tiffany. I can't believe how many people thought it was Tiffany Stratton. I thought it was Maxine. I'm not kidding you. My brain didn't go to Tiffany Stratton because I recognized Tiffany right away. I thought it was Maxine because I think Izzy came out with a ponytail, if I remember correctly. And Maxine wears ponytails too. So that's why I thought it was Maxine. Yeah. Christopher, thank you for the super chat, man. So now we got to get to the main event. Earlier on the show, I mentioned that I woke up at 5 a.m. This match reminded me that I woke up at 5 a.m. Read between the lines, please. I was not in love with this match. I thought that we had, God, I don't know, like what felt like maybe 20, 25 minutes of just Baron Corbin on offense. I liked some of the work that they did on the outside. Thought that was fun. Corbin slamming him into the commentary table. But then after that, everything was just Baron Corbin dominating Ilja Dragunov. And it was the entire chunk of this match, man. It was the entire chunk of this match. And I just felt like it was too much. And I was very excited when it was finally going to come to an end, because when Ilja hit those 3H bombs and then decided to like hug him and whisper something in his ear, I'm going, okay, cool. Like that makes a little bit of sense because we've been seeing him do that. Cool. He literally killed Nathan Frazier with 3H bombs, by the way. And the whole hugging thing and whispering, the only thing that the dragon can slay is the dragon himself. He's been saying that a whole lot. And so I thought, okay, that's fine. And then he hits the Torpedo Moscow and he gets the win. I was like, woo, yeah, let's go. I love the ending. That was it. I just think that this was too much of Baron Corbin on offense. And when you sit here and you've watched Ilja Dragunov's matches with Carmelo Hayes, who we've seen him wrestle now 3 times, those matches were great because there was so much back and forth. It was a ping pong thing. You know, they were just going back and forth the entire time. And this was too much of Ilja Dragunov just taking a beating. And so that just wasn't the match for me. So this may have been somebody else's match. It just was not mine. When Ilja Dragunov won, I was like, yay, let's go. And Trick Williams comes out. He confronts Ilja Dragunov. And I don't know if you guys read too much into this, but I kind of read into this. Carmelo Hayes coming out with Trick Williams and coming out behind him when Trick Williams was confronting Ilja. I don't know if he did that because maybe he also wants to come for Ilja, or if he's doing that to support his friend. I'm not entirely too sure why he did it, but I tend to read into those things, and I'm reading into that one quite a bit. So there you go, man. That was that. Tiger Claw Gaming says, Denise, I told you, Baron's no good. Tiger Claw, it was funny because as I was sitting there watching the main event, I thought about the comment that you had sent on Tuesday's show. And I was like, damn, I just had read that comment on Tuesday and I had defended it. And now I'm sitting here and I'm just like, let's move on. I'm ready to wrap this up. Let's get to the finish. And so that sucks, right? You don't want stuff like that, especially because it's your main event. I'm sure some other people liked it. Just wasn't for me, guys. And I was very tired while watching it. So that's like the worst. It's the worst. We got Killer of Demon who says they thought the match was decent. All right, cool. That's fine. Tony says that overall he thought the show was 4.5 out of 5 stars. I would say the show, I would probably say 4 out of 5. Only because the last 2 matches were not that great, but everything else was really cool. I really wish, actually, that the men's Iron Survivor Challenge, I mean, I would say that I wish that it was the main event, but then it was cool to have that moment with Trick Williams staring down Ilja Dragunov after he had won the title. So I guess I'm not going to say I wish it was the main event, because I did like that ending, though, with Trick Williams coming out and staring down Ilja Dragunov and obviously letting him know that he's coming for him. But because that moment with Trick Williams winning was so very cool, that was the only reason, but it's fine the way they did it. Sheldon Jackson says the men's Iron Survivor match should have main evented Deadline tonight. This is the second year in a row where an Iron Survivor match should have closed. Yeah, because last year it was Bron, Breaker, and Apollo, if I remember correctly. Right? I think so. And I think I remember enjoying that match. Yeah, I think I remember enjoying that match. But again, I get what you're saying. I was thinking the same too for a second, but only for the sole purpose of having that stare down at the end. I'm going to say it's fine the way they did it, but I think it would have also been really cool if they had the men's Iron Survivor match close out the show as well. So yeah, I also agree with that. Sheldon, thank you so much for the super chat. Seriously appreciate that so freaking much. Alrighty, everybody. PH Sex says Denise wasn't too tired to do this stream. Bro, I'm not kidding you. At the main event, I was like, damn, I'm going to fall asleep on my own post show. You guys are going to come in and I'm going to be like, hey, yo, what's up, guys? Welcome to the show. You know? Oh man. Either way, guys, I had a good time. Women's Iron Survivor, men's Iron Survivor, getting to see CM Punk and Shawn Michaels, getting to see a brand new NXT North American champion. All of that was good stuff, and I enjoyed myself. That's it for today, everybody. I will be back next week to talk about NXT on Tuesday, which is going to be the fallout from what we saw here today. And then again, I will be back on Wednesday for AEW Dynamite conversation with Righteous Reg. And then Friday for Smackdown. And then next week, I will be back for AEW Collision conversation as well. So kind of a shift in schedules. This is what happens when we have pay-per-views. But other than that, I want to thank you guys so much. If this was the first time you ever watching one of my shows, please come in, subscribe, join the channel. And if you haven't already, if you're new or you've been here for quite a bit, please head on over to Apple Podcasts, guys. Leave a review. It really helps out my podcast a whole lot. Helps it rank higher, helps people find it more, helps get more sponsorships and stuff. So it really just helps a whole lot. The links are in the description box below. And also, if you enjoyed the show, tweet me. I'm always seeing that stuff. Cameron, if you're out there, thank you so much for all of the support and constantly tweeting out the show. I appreciate you a whole lot. You already know that. But thank you to everybody. And I hope you guys have an awesome weekend. And I will catch you all on the next one. Bye, everyone. Take care.